Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Tohoku. I'm Ryusei. Today I explain about Japanese sake, Nihonshu. Sake is an essential food in Japanese culture. We can enjoy seasonal and regional characteristics from sake. In the video, I'll talk about the keywords of sake, seasonal sake, warm sake, sake vessels, and food pairing. I hope this video will help you to enjoy Japanese sake, Nihonshu more and more. Yes, let's go. The rice is an essential ingredient for sake. The rice grain is polished about 10 to 90% in the making process of sake. This is one example of the sake menu. Do you imagine the flavor of this sake? Actually, it's not easy for even Japanese people to imagine the flavor from the information. The name of this sake is Hiyori. Jumai Daikin Joshu is a group and Hokkaido is a brewery place. In fact, we don't know where the rice is from. Of course, there are breweries which grow the rice and use the rice for making sake. On the other hand, some breweries buy a part of the rice from other prefecture. I focus on the group of this sake. Tokutei Shoshu is a category which is widely referred to premium sake. The other sake is called Futsushu, standard sake. We can get it more reasonable and often use it as a cooking sake. Tokutei Shoshu is divided into 6 or 8 groups. Hiyori is Junmai Daikin Joshu, and here. It is categorized how much the rice is polished. The rice remaining percentage after polishing is called seimai buai. These groups are categorized by seimai buai. The reason of polishing the rice is to make pure and sophisticated flavored sake. The rice grains include carbohydrate, protein, and fat. The low protein and fat in the rice grains is good for making sophisticated sake, and the sake tends to be fruity and floral flavor. This sake, Hiyori, is Junmai Daikin Joshu. That's why at least 50% rice is polished. So I can guess the aroma is fruity and floral, and the taste is slightly sweetness. Actually, if the taste of Junmai Daikin Joshu is dry, we sometimes feel sweet because of fruity and floral aroma. Seimai buai is a tip of guessing the smell and the flavor of the sake. The low polishing ratio sake tends to be round and subtle smell, and the taste is dry and bold. Polishing the rice needs a time and cost, so Junmai Daikin Joshu and Daikin Joshu are usually more expensive. However, seimai buai doesn't guarantee our favorite taste. Understanding seimai buai helps us find our favorite sake. If the detailed explanation is written in the menu, we can order our favorite sake easily. But if we have drunk much sake, it's lazy to read it. However, if we have some knowledge, we only need to pick a few keywords to order next sake. For example, this is Shinshu Origarami. Do you know there is seasonal sake in Japan? I divided into half. First, I'll explain about Shinshu. Shin means new and written like this. Shinshu is a seasonal sake which is made from the newly harvested rice from the most recent autumn. New rice is special for us, Japanese people. And Shinshu is released from autumn to winter. The timing depends on the breweries. Shinshu has other names, Shiboritate and Hatsushibori. Tate means just finished, Hatsu means new as well. Shinshu is normally unpasteurized, so we expect to enjoy the refreshing acidity and slightly fizzy texture. Next, origarami. Ori means fine leaves. This is sake which is not removed the fan leaves after it's filtered. It's similar to nigori sake. The feature of nigori sake is creamy texture. But the texture is a bit lighter and more refreshing and less creamy. We often see this kind of sake in Shinshu season. Fan leaves add lively and silky texture and creamy and refreshing flavor to sake. We can imagine the texture and flavor of sake more clearly from the information of Shinshu origami. If you learn these knowledges, you can communicate with the staffs. If you come to Japan and try sake, please use these keywords. We feel season from Shinshu. Yes, let me give you another example. The name of this sake is Ryo, and the group is Junmai. It's produced in Niigata Prefecture. Junmaishu is here, but Junmaishu is an exception. It doesn't matter how much the rice is polished to make Junmaishu. And this is a detailed explanation. The keywords are hiaroshi and kimoto. First, I'll explain about kimoto. Kimoto is the most traditional sake brewing method, and I need to introduce Yamahai-moto and Sokujo-moto. In the process of brewing sake, the rice and the koji is smashed with a traditional paddle, kai, to increase natural lactic acid and promote the fermentation. This work of smashing the rice and the koji is called yama-oroshi, and this process is called kimoto. Yamahai-moto or Yamahai shikomi is also method. Hai means abolition, therefore the smashing process with the paddle is abolished. However, natural lactic acid bacteria grows and lactic acid is created. And this method is called Yamahai shikomi. On the other hand, in Sokujo-moto method, liquid lactic acid is added for fermentation. Soku means quick, so Sokujo-moto is more quick and efficient than Kimoto and Yamahai-moto. That's why about 90% sake is brewed by Sokujo-moto method. Yamahai-moto is 9% and Kimoto is 1%. The flavor of Sokujo-moto range from plain to elegant and sophisticated, while the flavor of Kimoto and Yamahai-moto is rich and complex, and the acidity is sharp. So we can expect the sharp acidity and the complex and rich flavor from Kimoto. Next, I'll explain about hiaroshi. Hiaroshi is one of the seasonal sake. Hiaroshi is also called aki agari. It is released in autumn. Hiaroshi is a big aging sake. The sake was brewed and pasteurized once last year and released in autumn. Now we learn about the pasteurization of sake. Hire. Sake is normally pasteurized twice before it's released. The method of pasteurization depends on the breweries. Sake is pasteurized in the large tank or in the bottles. Pasteurization in the tank is more efficient, but sake is not heated directly in the tank. Sake goes through the hose, which is soaked in hot water. Then sake is chilled. And it is more precise to pasteurize sake in the bottles, but it needs lots of works. Both methods have merits and demerits, but the temperature is controlled very strictly, around 65 degrees. And the sake is categorized by the method of pasteurization. Double pasteurization is called hire. Non-pasteurization is called namazake. Once pasteurized before releasing is called namachozoshu. Once pasteurized before storing is called namazumeshu. And hiaroshi is namazumeshu. Today's first sake, hiyori, was namazake. So it is not pasteurized, that's why we can enjoy fruity aroma and refreshing acidity. While hiaroshi is pasteurized once before aging, so the taste becomes mild, rich, and complex. That's why we expect this sake ryo is rich, complex, and acidity is sharp. In winter, warm sake is amazing. Warm sake is called atsukan or kanzake. This sake makes us feel warm. And the name of kanzake varies depending on the temperature. This is a list of warm sake name. From the top, tobikiri-kan, atsu-kan, jou-kan, nuru-kan, hitohada-kan, hinata-kan, and jou-on. If the sake is heated, the acidity becomes mild and the aroma blooms. Generally, we feel the most abundant smell from nuru-kan, slightly warm sake. I love to drink tobikiri-kan and atsu-kan in winter. I often warm junmai and honjozo, which are pasteurized double. Kimoto and yamahai are also good for warm sake. Today's sake, ryo, is good for 45 to 50 degrees, joukan and atsukan. We hardly warm namazake, junmai daiginjo, and daiginjo, but we can warm them. If you'd like to warm them, I recommend to warm them to 35 to 40 degrees, nurukan and hitohada-kan. We can enjoy elegant smell and delicate sweetness. And we should not warm sake in the microwave oven. Warming sake in the hot water gradually is the best. It is easy to control the temperature. And this vessel is called chirori in Japanese. Pour the sake to chirori and warm it. And we should warm tokuri and ochoko. If they are cold, the temperature of sake decreases quickly. This is so important. In Japan, there are some shapes of sake vessel which is called shuki. I recommend to use this shape of sake vessel for warm sake. If we use this, the temperature decreases quickly. It is good for cold sake. I hope you enjoy warm sake and the sake vessels too. Please find your best sake and temperature. Finally, I'll introduce food pairings. Today's first sake hiyori, which is fruity and floral aroma, and refreshing and lively acidity, goes well with fish and vegetable dishes like appetizers. Refreshing acidity goes well with sashimi, pickles, and tempura. And we can enjoy rich aroma in a wine glass. Also, it's good to drink sake with Japanese traditional sake cups. Wine glasses are ideal for junmai daiginjo and daiginjo. On the other hand, second sake, ryo, which is sharp acidity and rich and complex flavor, goes well with meat and soy sauce based dishes. These dishes are rich in taste and fat, go well with sharp acidity of kimoto and yamahai. And if the flavor of sake is elegant and delicate, the flavor of sake is overpowered by rich taste, soy sauce based dishes. Therefore, the rich and complex sake, like kimoto and yamahai, goes well with these dishes. The sharpness of sake refreshes our mouth. This is autumn sake hiyoroshi, so I love to drink it with seasonal fish, salmon. Ochoko and guinomi are good for this sake, because the sake doesn't have floral smell. And ochoko and guinomi are perfect for traditional Japanese dishes and table. And kanzake goes well with simmered fish, oden, and meat dishes. And last, the local sake is called jizake. We enjoy sake and food which are grown and produced in the same region. I love to drink jizake with local foods. I hope you enjoy Japanese sake, foods, and travel. Thank you. Did you enjoy? I hope this was informative. Sake is very interesting and delicious. I love to drink sake. And I'm so proud of sake and sake producers. And if you come to Japan, please try sake and touch Japanese traditional culture. 酒、日本酒。Thank you for watching to the end. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Have a nice day. See you later.